Hey, welcome back to another episode of Just a Pinch. This is episode 2 of our 3-part Christmas series. If you missed our beautiful starter, that was Dutch pea soup, then I'm going to pop a link just probably over here. So in episode 2, as promised, we are going to be making a delicious British traditional dish. It is a roast beef. Typically you have this on a Sunday. My mom cooked this for us whilst we were growing up as kids. It is also associated with Christmas. So we've got the roast beef. We've got crispy roast potatoes, fluffy in the center. And of course, Yorkshire puddings. Oh, just the most delicious little caves to pour gravy in. Of course, we're going to be making gravy and some honey glazed carrots. Now, I know cooking a roast may seem intimidating, but in actual fact, it's a really, really easy dish. There's no fancy culinary techniques. It's just that you're making a few dishes, and each dish requires its own set of rules and instructions and attention. So with that in mind, we're going to be abusing the cuck out of this oven today. So the first thing that you need to do is get this oven up to temperature, 180 degrees Celsius. Not Fahrenheit. Now the thing that probably takes the longest is our carrots, so we're going to tackle those first. These are chantenay carrots. They essentially little mini baby carrots. I just like the colors that you've got. Look at that beautiful, is that purple? Yeah. It's just going to look really nice on the plate. Give them a bit of a season. Olive oil. Get your hands in there. We are going to cook them for 45 minutes to an hour. The first half of their cook is just to sort of brown them and to soften them. And the last 15 minutes of the cook, we're going to glaze them. Let's pop these in. Next up, we're going to be doing our roast potatoes. That's cold water that's gone in there. It's best to put your potatoes in cold water rather than pre-boiling water, just so that when the potatoes are coming up to temperature, they cook more evenly. Where's the fucking potato peeler? These are British Maris Piper potatoes. They're quite floury and they are full of quite a lot of starch. These are the most consistent potatoes. You're going to get a lovely outer crisp, but that beautiful, soft, cloudy, pillowy potato texture inside. So we've peeled the potatoes and we've chopped them up into roughly golf-sized balls, and they're now in here. Bring them to a boil, turn it down slightly, and let them parboil for about 10 minutes. Warning, if you're squeamish, look away now. That's what happens when you get too overzealous with a potato peeler.
Hey, Simon here. If you like this video, well, hit the like button. Even better, hit subscribe. It really does help me. Right, let's get back to the video then, shall we?
It's time to turn them off and we're going to drain them in a colander. Now there's a trick here when it comes to getting the perfect crispy potatoes, and it's all about roughing up the edges of those potatoes. So let's drain those potatoes now. Try and get the water in the sink. Shake those potatoes up just like that, and what happens, you get these beautiful little fluffy damaged edges onto the potatoes, and that's what creates that crispy coating on the outside whilst remaining really light and fluffy in the middle. So we're just going to get a baking tray, some vegetable oil, potatoes go in, and then just sort of move them about and make sure they all get a nice equal coating of that oil. Some salt, black pepper. So the carrots are going to take 45 minutes to an hour total, whereas the roast potatoes are probably going to take about 35 minutes. You're going to have to turn them a couple of times during that cooking process as well. And what you want is a nice even brown. So carrots are in, now time to put the potatoes in. Now it's time to move on to the beef. It's important that you take your beef out of the refrigerator at least an hour before cooking and allow it to come up to room temperature. So I've got a lovely roasting sirloin joint here. As you can see, that is the sirloin steak. Quite a fatty piece, decent marbling in there as well. All of that fat is going to render and keep your meat really, really flavorsome and juicy. Season your meat. Don't be shy with the salt and the pepper, and make sure you get all sides. So what we want to do is we want to add some color onto that beef. So we're going to get a pan, get it up to temperature. quite often we think, oh, the reason why you do that is to seal in the juices. That's actually nonsense. That's not true. The reason why we sear the meat is just about the Maillard reaction, which we talk quite a lot about in these videos. And that's just the scientific or biological reaction that happens with the protein when it's exposed to a high temperature. In essence, you can sort of equate it to when you are caramelizing sugar. It's that browning that gives a depth of flavor. It's the same thing with our protein, vegetables, anything that you cook, really. If I put this in the oven without searing it, right, it's still going to come out and taste really delicious. However, if we add this extra simple little step, we're taking our roast beef to the next level and it becomes restaurant quality. Now, why would you not want to do that? This is going to smoke a hell of a lot and the smoke alarm's going to go off, I can tell you that. But your beef's going to go in fat side down. Hey. Don't do that. Should have done it gently. Celery, carrots, your onion, you can even leave your skin on if you want. All right, let's have a look at the beef. You can see that browning. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to brown off the sides as well. And we're going to lay them on top of our trivet, just like that. So whilst this guy is cooking, all of those beautiful beef juices are going to cook through, permeate through the vegetables, and that's what is going to be the base for our delicious gravy. But we need to talk about how to cook this thing properly. You look at a size like this, so this is a kg, right? And you're probably going, you'd estimate maybe an hour and a half. If you cook this thing that long, essentially you're going to land up with a leather wallet, dry. What you're looking for is a nice medium rare. Now to get there are a few tips that you can take into account, right? For every 450 grams of beef, you want to be cooking it for 15 minutes. So if this is a kg, that's 15, that's 30. I would probably say roughly, I'd say about 35 minutes. The other way of doing it, getting yourself one of these internal thermometer probes. They're really cheap. You can buy them online and they're an instant read and you essentially just poke it in. So what we're looking for in terms of temperature for a medium roast beef joint like this, we are looking at anywhere between 55 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius. 60 obviously being more on the medium side. These are one of the most useful kitchen tools in the world, and it kind of takes the guesswork out because every oven is different, every cut of beef is different. It doesn't matter how many times you've cooked something like this before, there is always sort of like a, something that could go wrong. Whew, it's hot. Right, these carrots are done. I'm gonna put this beef in the oven, set a timer. I don't know how to work this thing. Boom, timer's been set. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make our batter for our Yorkshire puddings. I wrote this recipe like a few days ago, so I've forgotten it. 4, 2, and 2 and a pinch. Alright, got it. Then we start off with 4 eggs. We're gonna start off with 4 fresh eggs. 200 grams of all-purpose flour. 150 mils of milk and 50 mils of water. And you're just going to whisk all of that up until it's nice and combined and sort of the consistency of, I would say, maybe custard. And it's probably best, in fact, to prepare this way ahead of time, at least an hour before you cook your Yorkshire puddings. We're going to transfer it to a nice pouring jug, which is going to make it a little bit easier when we put it into our molds. And we can now set that aside. There we go. We're getting some beautiful color on those potatoes. Hit it with some of that lovely chopped up rosemary. Those are going back into the oven now. Oh, that beef is smelling incredible. What we can do in the meantime, whilst the beef and the potatoes are finishing off, we're going to make our lovely glaze for our honey. So, tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of sugar, tablespoon of honey. I've also added just the slightest touch of white wine vinegar. Our sugar has browned off nicely, as is the butter. Turn the heat off, and that is going to be the most delicious glaze for our carrots. Our potatoes are definitely ready, so let's get those bad boys out the oven. Whoo! Boom! We're a few minutes away, and then that beef's coming out. Just have a look at this, right? All those beautiful little crispy bits over there, that is from when we were shaking it in the colander a little bit earlier. And as you can see inside, it's really nice and fluffy. Listen to this. It's perfectly cooked roast potato. This is a little muffin tray which we're going to use for our Yorkshire puddings. So you need to use a vegetable oil because it can take a much higher temperature, about 1 centimeter. Now it's very, very important that we put this in the oven and we bring this up to temperature. That oil needs to be bubbling hot by the time we put the Yorkshire puddings in. So let's put that in the oven in the meantime, and we're going to take the beef out.
No, baby. This stuff ain't coming.
You reckon your package has been stolen?
Yeah. It was a big package.
Michelle's had a big package from Zara.
Yeah.
Christmas presents. Christmas presents for you. 2 presents for me. Well, that's disappointing. There's a thief taking parcels. That sucks, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, let's check the temperature. Perfect. It's just carried over to 60 degrees. We're gonna get our beef off our trivet, park them off over there, and we're just gonna let them rest. Now it's time to crack on with our gravy. Using that same pan that we cooked the beef in, we're gonna start creating the foundation for that beautiful gravy. Going in with about a tablespoon of flour. That's going to help thicken the gravy up. Some of those fresh rosemary herbs. You'll need to cook that flour off. Taking your potato masher. This is a trick that I've learned from Jamie Oliver. Just mash those vegetables up. Extract as much of that flavor out as possible. Deglazing with a really good red wine. Just allowing that red wine to cook off slightly. That now goes in here. And 450 mils of stock. Stir that up, bring it up to temperature, let it reduce. That is going to give us the most incredible gravy. It's about time that our Yorkshire puddings are ready to go in the oven. So the molds have been in here, getting up to temperature. Right, now we do need to move rather quickly. That oil is hot and you want it as hot as possible. So we're going to pull the Yorkshire pudding batting in and we want to see bubbles. Okay. And you're filling your batter up till about halfway. Right, these now go into the oven. You close this oven door and you do not open it again. If you open this oven door, you're gonna fuck your Yorkshire puddings up and they're not gonna rise and they're not gonna be crispy. So you wanna cook these bad boys between 18 to 25 minutes. During that time, do not open the oven door. Trust the process. Let it be. So whilst the Yorkies are busy cooking, our meat has now rested, so it's time to check up on that, and we can actually start plating up. Perfectly medium. Well cooked. Pick in the middle. Yeah, I'm not even joking. That roast beef is so delicious. There we go, a beautiful British Sunday roast. So that's it for episode 2 of our lovely Christmas special. And coming up in our final episode, we're going to be making a dessert and it's going to blow your mind. So stay tuned for that. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and by all means, share. We'll see you next week.